Economic stagnation, real estate problems, social unrest, and a high rate of company distress are just some of the problems Germany is facing at the moment. This trend has been widening since Russia invaded Ukraine, resulting in soaring power prices for energy intensive manufacturers in Germany. Unfortunately, there's more bad news coming. The economy contracted in the last quarter of the previous year, and early surveys for 2024 show little relief ahead. The demand for investment in machinery, factories, and technology has decreased, posing a risk to long term domestic growth as companies focus on dealing with the current challenges. Hello, friends. I hope you're having a fantastic day and welcome to Insight360 Europe Edition. In today's video, we'll be diving deep into Germany's current problems. How did it get this far and what attributed to the current situation? But before we get started, let's begin by exploring what's currently going on. At the World Economic Forum in Davos last month, executives had a pessimistic view of Germany. They believe that Europe's largest economy has lost its reputation for stability and will face challenges as competition gets tougher in various sectors, including machinery, automobiles, including electric vehicles, and technology. Data collected by Bloomberg News shows that over $13.6 billion of loans and bonds issued by German companies were in a distressed state last month, which is 13 times higher than Italy's level. This indicates a broader issue, with about 15% of companies in Germany currently facing difficulties, the highest rate in Europe according to a report by consulting firm Alvarez and Marsal. All these problems have left Germany's government with ultra-low confidence numbers and little room to maneuver. With a shrinking budget, many are doubting whether this government can turn things around, especially since they not only have the difficult task of getting the economy going again, but have to do so within the ever-tightening rules from Brussels regarding the environment and climate. You see, one of Germany's biggest challenges is its high energy costs. Its heavy industry simply cannot compete on a global scale with current energy prices. It is, of course, easy to blame Putin's invasion of Ukraine and Europe's subsequent sanctions for the current situation. And they do, of course, play a part in the problems. However, if we look a bit deeper, we will see that a series of decisions taken by Germany's government years ago left Germany in its current difficult situation. To understand how Germany ended up in its current predicament, we need to look back a few years. The story begins in the 1970s, fueled by global oil crises, growing environmental consciousness, and an anti-nuclear movement within Germany. These factors laid the foundation for a radical shift in national energy policy, with the goal of moving away from fossil fuels and nuclear power towards a more sustainable and environmentally friendly energy landscape. The formal adoption of the Energiewende policies in the early 2000s represented a bold commitment by the German government to redefine its energy future. For decades, Russian gas has been a cornerstone of Germany's energy supply, providing a stable and relatively inexpensive source of energy to power its industrial sector, heat homes, and generate electricity. The rationale for this reliance was rooted in the economic benefits and the desire to secure a steady energy supply from a neighboring region. However, this dependence also exposed Germany to geopolitical risks, as tensions with Russia could potentially compromise its energy security. Central to the vision was the expansion of renewable energy sources such as wind, solar, and biomass. The aim was to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, decrease reliance on imported fossil fuels, and strengthen energy security. In parallel, there was a concerted effort to improve energy efficiency across all sectors, from industry to residential buildings. So, in the early 2000s, Germany's energy mix consisted of cheap Russian gas for heating and their heavy industry, and electricity from nuclear, coal, and renewables. However, the turning point that accelerated the phase-out of nuclear power within the Energiewende came after the Fukushima nuclear disaster in Japan in 2011. This event deeply impacted the German psyche, intensifying concerns about nuclear safety, waste management, and the potential for catastrophic accidents. In response, Chancellor Angela Merkel's government swiftly shut down 8 of the country's oldest nuclear reactors and set a clear timeline to phase out all nuclear power by 2022. As nuclear power was phased out, there was an increased reliance on coal-fired power plants and Russian gas imports, leading to a paradoxical increase in carbon emissions. The ambitious transition has come at a significant financial cost too, with both consumers and businesses burdened by the subsidies required to support renewable energy development. The message from the government in Berlin is always the same: invest now, and in the future, we will possess abundant cheap energy. However, this future never seems to materialize. The costs are now so high that the country's economic engine, responsible for financing the transition, seems to be breaking down. To address current issues and balance the books, Olaf Scholz's government response is textbook: austerity. Following the Netherlands, Germany has also set its sights on its agricultural sector to achieve this goal. Concerns over environmental impact and perceived unfair subsidies to the sector are used as reasons. However, similar to the Netherlands, it appears that the people's tolerance has reached its limit in Germany as well. This has resulted in widespread farmer protests, not limited to Germany alone. Farmers across Europe have expressed concerns regarding various issues such as price pressures, high taxes, strict green regulations, and unfair competition from foreign markets. They argue that the growing accumulation of rules and regulations, which were originally accepted, has now become overwhelming. In Germany, for example, the protests have been triggered by the government's decision to phase out tax breaks on agricultural diesel. This decision has highlighted the sector's struggle with soaring fertilizer and fuel prices following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. These economic pressures are contrasted with a situation where agricultural yields are unable to keep up with the rising costs, further worsening the plight of the farmers. Germany and Europe are currently facing a crucial decision: how to balance environmental goals with economic competitiveness. The increasing bureaucracy from Brussels and national governments in their efforts to achieve net zero goals strain Europe's position in the global economy. While the push for sustainability is commendable, it has led to economic stagnation and social unrest. The situation in Germany serves as a cautionary tale. Stringent environmental policies, without considering their economic impact, can have negative outcomes. Germany's ambitious energy transition, known as the Energiewende, illustrates the complexities of shifting from fossil fuels and nuclear power to renewable energy sources. Although aimed at reducing greenhouse gas emissions and enhancing energy security, the transition has resulted in high costs, increased reliance on coal and natural gas imports, and higher energy prices that challenge Germany's heavy industry on the global stage. Recent farmer protests throughout Europe emphasize their dissatisfaction with increasing regulations and taxes, which undermine their livelihoods and worsen their challenges. These demonstrations represent a wider frustration with policies that appear disconnected from the realities experienced by those who are most impacted. To move forward, Europe must recalibrate its policies to support economic resilience while advancing environmental objectives. The lesson is clear: sustainability must be pursued in a way that maintains economic vitality and competitiveness. Failing to strike this balance jeopardizes not only Europe's standing in the global economy, but also the social fabric and prosperity of its nations. That's all for this week. We would love to hear your thoughts on Germany's current situation. If there are any new updates, we will definitely keep you informed. We sincerely hope you enjoyed this episode, and we are really excited to see you again next week. Take care and bye-bye.